morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Thanks for joining me, Erin here. Today we're going to go through a short-ish restorative class, something that is really good to do before bed, and these poses will all help with sleep. So again, a more calming, soothing, restorative practice today, and it's a really good way to end a busy weekend or a busy week and get you sleeping. So, quite a few props today, and with any restorative props, you can improvise, use whatever you have around, but we're going to need at least a couple of rolled up towels or blankets, and we want one of them to be quite long, so make sure you've got a nice long sort of sausage roll blanket. You can have a shorter, fatter one, so a towel would be good for that one. Have a pillow handy, just any old pillow, any cushion that you've got hanging around, as well as if you have a yoga bolster, that's fantastic, but you can also use a couple of cushions, a couple of pillows, a rolled up doona, so just something that's a little bit bigger than this rolled up towel. And again, maybe even just two rolled up towels together or a couple of blankets rolled together, but just something that's going to be a little bit more firm and a little bit more supportive. Again, if you have a yoga block, absolutely have that handy. If you don't have a block, we can use, again, we can substitute with a rolled up towel or something. So maybe just have a few things around and get creative. I'll show you the basic shape of these poses, and if you need to sort of adjust them a little bit and use whatever you have around the house, just get a mountain of pillows, a mountain of cushions, a mountain of blankets, and make sure you're nice and comfy in all of the poses. So just pop all of these things out of the way for the moment. We're going to start actually standing. So just coming up to actually a forward fold position. So take your feet a little bit wider and let your head hang in between your legs. You can keep your hands on the earth for support, or you can sort of cup the elbows, so opposite hand to opposite elbow. So just in this ragdoll type position. Have a little bend through the knees. And just finding a little sway from side to side if that feels good. Maybe a little bounce and release of the head and neck. You could nod the head yes and no a couple of times. But our aim here is to just soften and release through that whole upper body, especially through the shoulders, the trapezius muscles, the muscles of the neck, and even these muscles at the base of the skull, because this is where we carry quite a lot of our stress and our tension. So just let that all go here, and you might feel a little stretch down the backs of the legs as well. That's great. Take as long as you like here. Make sure you're really relaxed through the shoulders. You can relax through the jaw, the eyes, the muscles of the face. And then slowly release those arms. Those hands can come down to the earth, and just gently, slowly start to make your way down onto your hands and knees. And then we're going to find our bolster, so our biggest cushion, taking that out on the mat in front of you. So you could stack a couple of those cushions on top of each other, but we're going to be supporting our whole body here, so we want it to be quite firm and quite large. Also, you can either use your block or a rolled up towel or a cushion, or something that's going to be supporting your head. So we're coming down into what's called alligator, supporting our body with our bolster or our cushion, our support, whatever that may be. So just lower your torso all the way down. Now your chin is going to hang over the edge of this bolster, and we're going to use the block or whatever support you have to support your head. So making any adjustments so that that head feels supported. You don't want the head to be dangling off the end of the bolster. You also don't want it to be way high up in space. So play around with that support. With all of these restorative poses, you can take the time to set them up properly so that you can really relax into the pose. So make any little adjustments that you might need. Your arms can just rest out to the sides. Just make sure you're not putting any pressure into the elbows or the shoulders or the hands. The knees and the legs are relaxed. And once you've got out any of those last little wiggles, let yourself completely relax here. Start to tune in to the breath. Feel that breath as it expands through the belly against your support, filling up through the ribs. Feel the back of the body expand. And on the exhale, everything softens. And you just allow yourself to feel that support from beneath. Slow, deep breaths here. And just listening to the sound of your breath. Letting everything arrive into this moment. So whatever has been going on in your day, your week, your month, the last couple of months, whatever uncertainty the future holds, just let all of that melt away from your body, through that front of your body, that connection with the support, the earth beneath you. Let it melt down and away. Remembering in these moments of stillness, there is nowhere else you need to be right now. There is nothing that requires your attention. Give yourself permission to completely, totally relax. Just a couple more breaths here. And then slowly start to just gently use your hands to press yourself up. You can remove that block or whatever it is from the forehead and just come back up onto your hands and knees. Now just slide your bolster, your support a little bit further away from you and just come to a seat beside it. Our goal here for the next pose is to make a bit of an incline with our bolster. So if you have that block, you can pop the block underneath the bolster, make a little bit of an incline. You can also pop another cushion under there, or you've got your rolled up towel, just to give it a little bit of extra height at one end. So whatever you've got that you can use, I'm going to use my block here. Just a little incline, it doesn't have to be steep. So we've got our incline happening here. Now turn yourself around so that the bolster is behind you. Have a little bit of space between your bottom and the bolster. That's just going to give a little bit of space, room for the lower back. And find that rolled up, your long rolled up blanket. Even if it's not rolled up, a blanket stuffed under here will do the trick. So what we're going to do, take the soles of the feet together, knees out wide, and just start to take that blanket, pop it right on top of the feet, and then tuck that blanket around under your ankles. If it's big enough, tuck it right underneath the hips. Mine doesn't quite reach, so I'm just going to tuck it under the ankles, make it nice and snug, nice and tight, and really pull it through there. And then I'm just going to start to recline back onto my bolster. So the purpose of this blanket around the ankles is to give a little bit of support so that we don't have quite as much strain in the hips. If it still feels like a bit too much here, you can take blankets, cushions, blocks, anything, and just sort of tuck it right up against under the hips, and that's just going to give you a little added support there. Let your shoulders relax out to the sides and let your arms relax onto the earth. Hands and fingers relaxed. Make any little adjustments you need to. And when you're ready, let yourself soften in, soften down. Connecting to that breath once again. Just the natural breath as it moves through the body. You might like to start to focus and add a little control to the breath. On your inhale, feeling the breath rise through the belly. Maybe taking a hand to the belly and a hand to the chest. And exhale, let the belly soften back down. Inhaling, belly rises. And exhale, softening down. You might like to deepen this breath a little further. On the inhale, belly rises. Continue to draw the breath up into the ribs, filling up and expanding all the way to the top of the chest. And then on the exhale, releasing from the top of the chest. Feel the ribs contract. Lastly, belly softening down. Full yogic breath. Feel that breath as it travels up from the belly into the ribs, to the top of the chest, and exhaling back down, chest, ribs, and belly. Continue like this if that full yogic breath feels good here. And letting the body, the torso, the shoulders, and the hips relax with every exhalation. Relaxed as possible. Nowhere else to be. Absolutely nothing needs to be done. Just feeling that body relaxing further and further, softening more and more with every breath. Take a couple more breaths here. And if there's any of these poses that you'd like to hold a little bit longer, by all means, you can just sort of gently reach out and press pause and Stay here for as long as you like. Your body will tell you what you're craving, what you're desiring, and just go with that. Stay as long as you need to. And for this particular pose, when you're ready, slowly start to use your hands to gently start to lift those knees back together first. Bring the soles of the feet onto the mat and then just sort of roll to one side. Just enough so that you can roll the bolster out of the way. And popping that block out of the way. All of our fun toys here, pop that one out of the way as well. Now, either taking your block or rolled up towel. I'm going to go with the rolled up towel because it's a little bit softer. Just pop it in between your knees here. Take your arms out nice and wide. Shuffle your hips over to the left. And then let your knees come over to the right. So we're just coming into a nice simple twist here, but this little cushioning in between the knees just acts as a bit of a support. So keeping that support between the knees, you might like to look off towards the opposite shoulder. Maybe the head just stays looking up towards the sky, but close down through the eyes. Let yourself soften in here for a few breaths. We won't hold this one for too long, but just try to let go of anywhere in the back of the body that feels like it's sort of gripping or hanging on too tightly. Try to consciously relax and soften. Maybe even imagine that breath, maybe that full yogic breath again, traveling through the body. Feel the breath moving along the length of the spine. On the inhale, it travels from the tailbone all the way back up to the neck. And on the exhale, traveling back down. Releasing any tension it finds along the way. We're still in these poses, there's a constant exploration. So anytime you find a little area that's a little bit tight, maybe you sort of let go and maybe the body shifts ever so slightly. And just keep doing this. Other parts that weren't tight might start to unconsciously tighten. And when you find it again, just soften. Let go, shift, relax. Another couple of breaths here. And then very slowly start to bring those knees back to center. Just keep that support, the block or the towel in between the knees, and then slowly, carefully shuffle those those hips over to the right. Let the knees now fall to the left. Make sure you've got space with all your cushions and props, making a little nest around you, like I've got going here. Just adjust, make sure your shoulders are comfortably on the earth. If it feels too intense, you can always let the knees slide down away from you a little bit more, or for a deeper twist, hug them up into you a little bit more. Arms out wide if that feels good, and maybe looking out over the opposite shoulder. Finding whatever variation of this twist, this simple twist, works for you. Closing down through the eyes. And just letting, once again, everything go. Finding that breath. Letting it travel from the base of the spine, up along the back, to the neck and the back of the head. And on the exhale, it travels back down, softening those pockets of tension as it goes. The softening of the body with every exhalation. And that constant slow dance. The finding of a sensation in the body and the experience of letting it go. Shifting. Softening. Nowhere else you need to be. Nothing else you need to be doing. Permission to relax. Just a couple more breaths here. And then slowly start to bring those knees back to center. Nice and slow. You can release your towel or your support. And then finding probably your bolster again, or you can have a couple of folded up towels even. We're going to take this support underneath the bottom, so coming into a supported bridge. So you can either start by sitting on the support and lying yourself back, but we're already down here, so maybe try to just slowly lift the hips, coming into that bridge pose. You can pulse here a couple of times, even just feeling that beautiful movement through the spine. Take another inhale to lift and rise up. And exhale to slowly roll it back down. This time as we inhale and lift those hips up, just find your bolster, your towel, or your block even. Position it under the hips and let the hips come down. Now we want to make sure that the tailbone, the sacrum, that nice firm spot behind the hips is supported. And again, we can let our arms rest out to the sides. This is one of my favorite poses. I try to incorporate it into almost every class I do in studio. I do it quite often just on its own at home. This is one of the most important poses. If you are suffering from any type of insomnia, having trouble sleeping, this is the magic pose. So just this supported bridge. Stay here for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. If you have any lower back pain or tight hips or even tight sort of psoas muscles, which you're not even often aware of, but that big muscle that sort of connects the upper and lower body, traveling through the center of your body, gets really tight. It's the muscle we use to walk and sit and stand and run and jump and play and all the beautiful things that we do. So we don't often give it a chance to switch off. This pose is helping to switch that muscle off. So deep, deep relaxation in this pose. The longer you hold it, the better. And of course we can take this a little bit further if we like. Welcome to stay right here with your feet firmly grounded. If you wanted to and it feels okay for your body, maybe slowly start to lift the feet up off of the earth and extend the legs up towards the sky. So you should be able to find that little balance point where the legs feel absolutely weightless. So there is no effort here whatsoever. If you are finding that it's hard to hold the legs up and it's really not comfortable and relaxing, you can do this against a wall with your legs up the wall. or you can just keep your feet on the ground. Same benefits of the pose, a slight inversion. Just keep those feet up if it's comfortable for you. So really now let yourself soften. Let the whole torso feel like it's melting down into the earth. So our legs are weightless. Our torso is heavy. And just allowing this inversion to clear out any tension or any stuck energy in the feet, the toes, the legs. Allowing that blood to easily make its way back to the heart, to be recirculated around the body. Nowhere else to be. Nothing else needs to be done. And start to imagine this sensation of floating. Imagine that weightlessness that you feel in your feet and your toes right now, spreading through the entire body. That feeling you might get when you're back floating in the water on a beautiful sunny day on still water. Or imagine what it feels like to be an astronaut in space with no gravity, just floating, weightless. And very, very slowly now start to bend your knees if those legs are up in the air, and as slowly as you possibly can, start to let the feet come back down to the mat. Take your time. Observe the sensations in the toes and the feet and the legs on the way down. And let the soles of the feet gently touch down. Notice the sensation, like you're touching down onto the earth for the first time. That astronaut coming into land. And then very slowly, we're just going to adjust everything a little bit. So take this bolster that's underneath your hips and slowly slide it down so that it's underneath the knees as a support. Now just come up a little bit onto your elbows. You're welcome to just stay with your back on the earth, but if you'd like a little bit of a heart opening, we're going to take a rolled up towel. We're going to slide that towel under the upper back. Take your pillow. We're going to get nice and comfy here. So pillow is up above to support your head. Have a space between the towel and the pillow, and that's where your shoulders are going to be. If you've got a blanket, you might like to, maybe that rolled up blanket we had before, you can unroll it now to keep your feet nice and warm, and start to make your way down. So this rolled up towel is going to be under the upper back, supporting through the thoracic spine. And when you extend your arms out wide, your shoulders start to melt over the top of the blanket. The pillow supports your head. So we've got a little bit of lift through the upper back, a little bit of lift through the heart, and our knees are supported with that bolster. Make any little adjustments here. And when you're ready, allow yourself to completely, totally let go, soften, and come back to that feeling of weightlessness. Imagine you're back in outer space, just floating. Gravity doesn't exist. can see stars and galaxies all around you. And it's so quiet, so peaceful. And you feel so safe and so completely relaxed here. Because you are so relaxed, you just let yourself enjoy the sensation of floating and watching all of the beautiful stars, planets, and all of the space in between. Nowhere else you need to be. Nothing needs to be done. And absolutely nothing requires your attention. Just let yourself be. No expectations, no stress, just pure consciousness. Just be. Again, I invite you to stay here for as long as you like. Perhaps just removing the bolsters, crawling into bed and falling asleep. Perhaps resting here on the earth a little while longer. Otherwise, whenever you are ready, just slowly start to come back. Bringing awareness back to the body, back to the breath. Perhaps deepening that breath a little bit more. Maybe some movement finds its way back to the fingers and the toes as you give them a little wiggle. You might like to take the arms up overhead and find a nice big stretch. And when you're ready, just slowly rolling to one side, maybe moving that support out of the way, but come down to rest on your side for a moment or two. Just taking a moment here to reflect. Reflect on your practice today without judgment. Knowing that whatever unfolded for you today was exactly what you needed. When you're ready, slowly start to make your way back up to a seated position. Closing down through the eyes still. Bringing the hands in front of the heart, where the palms touch. Taking that moment to thank yourself Thanking yourself for pausing, making the time to dedicate to you, your practice, and your relaxation. I thank you very much for joining me here today, and we'll see you again soon. Namaste. Thanks, everyone. Sleep well.